Happy Friday, everybody. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead, another episode of You've Gotta Be Sha Tinning Me. Joined as always by Mr. Matt Carlson. Matt, we wait, actually probably we shouldn't use this one. We both hit and I think lost money last week.
Yeah, it was very formful. So a win's a win, right? If you get that feel good ticket cash for sure, but it was not profitable. And
No.
that whole piece where I said you probably shouldn't use great horses as defensive bees. Well, that's why you shouldn't do that because Lord knows it's not going to pay if they come in. So
Yeah, I hit the Consi a couple times, I think, and I want to say I don't think I put that much in. I might have put maybe somewhere between 24 and 32 bucks in. I think I got 18 back. Like it wasn't great.
yeah,
And you actually hit, and you said that you got back like you
a,
probably got
a
back about the same.
Exactly about the same. Yeah, I think my
Yeah.
ticket cost was about right where yours was, and I think I made the same amount of money you did, if not less. I think it paid $18 for $2 or something like that, or some ridiculously low number that you know there wasn't a lot of money to be made on that card. So hey,
Yeah, that was interesting. A production meeting in the middle of the podcast here. So next week, for those of us who consume all our content, or probably just Russ, because he's probably the only guy who listens and watches everything. We're not going to be streaming next week because Caleb's moving. It's the week before BC, so hopefully we can record this on Thursday next week. So we'll hopefully get this out a little early next week. But yeah, I actually didn't tell you. I got a bunch of video content I'm going to try and record next week. So hopefully you got some time because I think we're going to be doing a bunch of short videos next week on just some Breeders' Cup pre-entries. So not not taking a huge deep dive, I think, handicapping wise, but maybe take a kind of high level view at a couple races. So you'll probably get pulled in for some stuff, and so
I I look forward to it. I know my Kentucky Derby content was some of the most engaged on your platform, where I was called a lot of very nice names from a lot of very nice people. So I look forward to that again.
I told you. I mean, one of my favorite comments ever left on a video was I think we went through and we previewed every horse with the short, and when I got to fierceness, I basically like I think I forgot if I was where I was. Um, but I was like, oh, I woke up and I chose violence, and fierceness is not going to win the Kentucky Derby, and I which I was right, but some guy said, oh, thank you for making this video. I just put another like $500 on fierceness because of your opinion. And I really wanted to go back and be like, oh, how did that work out for you? But, um, you know, it I don't know. Some people like doing that. I mean, I see it all the time with the sports betting touts, and some people really embrace it. Like there's that Trent guy. I don't know if you ever see his stuff,
No,
and like he's just like I swear, like everything. He's just like the biggest mush ever. Everything he posts, like it's like the opposite happens, and he just leans into it, which is pretty funny. But um,
there's
yeah,
value in that, right? If you're, and I've always felt that, right? Like in some ways, if I'm on a bad streak, like it's valuable, right? Just bet every other horse that I'm not telling you, and that's you're profitable,
there
right?
you
It's
go.
easy. It's an easy game.
Yeah, easy game, right? It's derivatives, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Um, but yeah, that was a little got a little unlucky last week. But we keep on keeping on here. I hit the turf pick 3 on drinking champagne, so that was nice for a couple $100. I gave it all back today, chasing carryovers, and now I think we got more carryovers tomorrow. So we'll see if my bankroll will hold for the weekend. But um, yeah, here I was saying I was going to be light, through till Breeders' Cup, and I ended up, playing. I ended up winning some money, so then I see the money in the ADW, and I'm like, well, I might as well fire. but
It's hot. You got to get it out of the pocket. It's burning a hole. You know.
I should have just, you know what's funny is I was thinking of just like taking out a couple $100 and just being like, no, this will be my walking around money for Breeders' Cup. And no, instead I tried to I tried to add zeros to the balance, and I added zeros for sure, just not the right
just,
zeros.
it's on the wrong end of it. You know?
but but yeah, but yeah, you know, high level on this sequence, I don't love it. um, I think I landed. I was pretty chalky in here. A there is a race that I kind of like. Um, you know, for my kind of my other bet, so that'll be fun to talk about. But um, you know, and hopefully, Matt, I'm not that tempting you too much with my delicious beer over
It
here.
it does look good. I mean, you know that I decided to quit everything at once. I quit domestic horse racing, which I've been clawed back to a little bit because I've been
Hmm.
playing tournaments. You know, I'm dabbling a bit. You gotta keep fresh. You gotta keep stretched out for when Breeders' Cup does roll around because I do want to play that. But yeah, I've been not drinking for about a month. Right, I started the sober October thing early. Actually switched from coffee to tea. You know, and I'm like, oh, this will help my sleep and all that. You know, I feel the damn same. All right, none of this feels any change. So, and you know, all this life changing stuff. You know, it's not working. So maybe I'll keep it going just to see if it improves
Dude,
anything. But
I I had a week, man. So Monday I had a colonoscopy done, right? Which is just not a great way to start a week,
no,
right? So you know, and well, luckily for horse racing, right? There we you know, horse racing content tends to draw an older audience, so they can probably all relate because they've probably all gotten them done at this point, right? And not it's not fun. It's my second one. And I have a family history of colon cancer, so I've had to get screened early, and everything's all good. But had doctor's visit, right? I had to stop certain medication for a bit. Like, dude, it's just like so. Then, like, you know, when you're taking medications and stuff, like, you know, there's minor side effects and stuff, and all of a sudden, like, you know, I was basically doing clean living for like a couple days, and I was like, oh, like, I don't know, man, I feel great, and then it's like, all right, and then you start getting back to where, like I said, like the base level with all of these medications and all this other stuff, and I'm just like, man, like I can't wait to be off all this stuff. Like, it's just it's a heck of a week, man, and super busy at work. But you know, and we got Breeders' Cup coming up. You know, I got, you know, 2 weeks before I will be up in Del Mar, San Diego, first time in California. I'm really excited to be there. And it should be a lot of fun. So Mark, Caleb, and myself, we got an Airbnb. Um, we're gonna put content out while we're out there, but I don't think we're gonna, you know, every time we do this, we end up in the same area. We're like, oh, we'll still stream. The only time it ever happens is in Vegas, and the last time only Mark and I streamed because Caleb passed out on the bed, you know, on his way over. Like, so yeah, it's just so we're not gonna like hold ourselves to try and stream when we're out there. But I'm bringing all my stuff out. I'll make videos at the track. I will, and maybe we do end up streaming. Maybe it's more of an emergency thing, a last minute thing. I told Mark and Caleb if they both bust out a BC on Friday, that I'm gonna make them stream and figure out where it all went wrong. And I think they didn't
hopefully
like
they're
the
not
fact.
going.
I don't think they liked the fact that I put that out in the world, but you know,
If they're broke after Friday, they did something wrong. Probably. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Generally, the strategy for the 2-year-old races is to not lose your shirt. But
yeah,
what do I know? I'm not in it. So,
yeah, yeah. Didn't you just win a feeder today or something?
yeah,
Or
but
was
then
that?
I
Oh
always
no,
beat
no, that
that
was a
with that.
cash feeder, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've been trying a couple different ones. I usually, you know, I'll take some swings early, but once it gets to here, you know, it just gets too crazy to try and win stuff last minute. And,
Yeah.
you know, even with that, it's, you know, I'll probably do some of the horse tourneys or, you know, like they have their, you know, decently large Breeders' Cup events, the
Hmm.
pick and price stuff. So I try and win feeders into that up to it. And, past couple years I've gotten in. So, and then just kind of petered out on those two. But yeah. I mean, it's fun. The tournament play, I think, keeps me interested enough without risking too much. So, probably where I'll focus.
Yeah, I think tournaments are a great way for those big days to get some action, and maybe not, especially because sometimes those big days end up kind of chalky. Maybe, don't end up in, investing a ton in the pick five and stuff, and ways to make money. So, and Breeders' Cup is great because usually there's different levels. Right, there's a $12, just stab fest you could join, and that gets thousands and thousands of dollars worth of money in it. Um, and then I think they usually do like a $79 and then like $179 one. So like there's usually more levels on those Breeder Cup days. So yeah, tons of cool stuff, tons of ways to get involved, tournaments, um, and uh, and yeah, I don't know. I don't think group tickets happening this year, but um, I don't know. Maybe I get convinced to come out of retirement since I'm apparently the only one who can hit a group ticket. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But anyways, let's no one's here to people don't listen to us to hear about Breeders' Cup. They want to listen to us talk about Sha Tin here, and yeah, we're gonna start with race 8, the Shared Prosperity Handicap, going 1,200 meters. It's a 6 furlong race here. We got Class 3 racing, and you know I had a hard time in this race getting around the number 2 Packing Hermod. Zach Purton rides, and this is a horse that's 2 for 2 and has improved in both starts. Um, on Speed Pro figures. I don't know how he's looked on your figures, but this is the kind of horse that comes in, wins Class 4, easily, wins Class 3 first asking easily. Um, I mean, maybe the post is the thing you worry about, seeing as he's out in the 12 post, but he won in the 8 post last time, so um, I don't know. I have a hard time uh kind of getting around this horse in this spot. I looked a little bit at the first time starter or the first time Hong Kong horse, the 4. It looks like he kind of was off to a hot start and then kind of, went the other way. Um, I don't know. I just couldn't really find anything else. Like the 11 Thunderblink won those 2 Griffin races, but then once he went against winners, I mean, he didn't even run. I mean, he finished out the back. He started 13th and finished 12th. So I didn't really see much I liked in this spot. So I got a single A. I got no B's. I'm going all with Zach here, Packing Hermod, who's probably going to be, I don't know, 6 to 5, maybe odds on in this race. I don't think that there's going to be a ton of single race value here, but I think I'm going to take the free square and move on. But Matt, where did you land?
Yeah, similar. I think Packing Hermit is probably going to take a lot of money. I think it is the best horse in the race. Figs wise, it does fit. I think there are some others that are close in here, but it's hard to tell, right? I mean, Packing Hermit won so easily last time. I think it was packed up at the end, so it's hard to tell exactly what that horse's ability truly is. It is kind of a weird race here. I think every horse that I wanted to like is drawn pretty wide, right? I don't think there's any horse that I looked at, or at first glance, at least just from a pure speed perspective, that was drawn inside of 10. I think horses like I Give, who obviously is coming off a pretty long layoff. I'm surprised you didn't go there because, potentially could be lone speed
I
here or speed of the speed, but
Yeah,
you
I
know,
I looked really hard at the one, but I just see that 10 post with the speed horse. I think Zach with the 12 posts, and coming from off the pace can probably still work out a bit of a trip.
yeah.
But I think being out that wide and trying to get to the lead, I mean, you get 2 or 3 horses that float you wide, and all of a sudden, maybe you don't even get there. So it is kind of tough for me. I do like the fact that, I mean, I think that he's in with his friends now, right? I think this is the right level for that horse, right? You look at the class, um, uh, the class record, 5 starts, right, in Class 3, 2 wins, and the fourth, right? So I think this is where he wants to be. Um, but I don't know. The wide post kind of scares me a bit.
Yeah, I was with you. I think I ended up elsewhere. It wouldn't surprise me if this horse wins, but just with the layoff coming in back at top weight and with the wide draw, I think there's enough questions there where maybe see the price you get, but to me, that one was one that I'm probably tossing. There's a couple other horses that I'll use. I did like the five Captain Win, who is obviously drawn horrifically here. I may end up tossing this one just based on all the factors, right? I mean, drawn in the 14 post isn't ideal. I do think this horse probably wants some cut in the ground. I think like a firm course probably isn't what this horse wants. More so, just based on the nature of it, right? I think if it had a yielding or softer ground, this horse might show a little bit better. And obviously, I don't think you're going to get that this weekend. I don't think they've gotten rain, and I don't think there's any rain in the forecast. So maybe it's up against it there. But obviously, this horse has been incredibly consistent. It's hit the board, what, I think five straight. And, again, we talked a little bit about sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. Sometimes it's a little bit of a curse because I think those horses end up taking money, but they're also moving up in weight while they're not winning. Um, this one actually drops a couple pounds in this race, so I think it's a use just based on speed alone, but I do think tread cautiously with that one. The other horse that I wanted to use, I think just trying to go off that angle of hitting a fourth race was the 11 Thunderblink. Really, I was just looking for something drawn inside of a double digit post here, and the only horse I could find that I kind of wanted if I squint hard enough was this 11. Obviously, it's first up this season. Just purely on figs alone, it's been pretty far off, but I do think it's trialed well. It's coming in at a low weight. It's coming in with a good draw. And if you have, a horse that's progressed, obviously it's only three. So you would expect a, larger amount of progression than some of these older horses coming back up. Maybe it's there. I think you get obviously a huge price coming in. Given it hasn't kind of shown ability to win this race. But if you're looking for a horse that could do something that's not printed on a page, I think this is the one where I'd want to go. So I'll probably sprinkle in using the 11 as well here. And so I'll be 2-5-11, probably mostly through packing Hermit, trying to, maybe even up the bet, right? Put more money through that one because it's going to be a lower price. But I don't think it's as strong a single as the price may indicate, or at least me trying to get some value out of this. I'll use the 5 and the 11 too.
I'm curious. Did you look at the 6 at all? Great State with Keith Jung up.
A little bit. It looks slow, and Keith Young, I think is I have him at 2 for 65, running 1200. So I was a pass just based on it hasn't
I
really run
mean,
a race that looks competitive here, but
I know the last race, right? Won by Ruby Lot, right? And well, I forgot who ran second in that race, but it was another pretty decent horse if I remember correctly.
bottom up
So
together came in
yeah,
second that
so
race.
I was kind of like, maybe thinking, okay, well he ran third and against a better field. Obviously, he drew the rail in that race, but he's got the two post here. But I don't know. I really like that. Those were the straws I was grasping at in this race. That's kind of why I ended up kind of sticking with the two here. Maybe the 6 makes my ticket as like some like weird C or something in some way, but I at that point, right? I think if Matt's even like squinting and can't see it, then maybe I'm definitely in over my head because I know you're
Yeah.
Mr. Contrarian, so
That horse was all a 57-1 last time, and I mean, I will say you see third on paper, but it was kind of a blanket finish. It looks like for fourth and fifth, it really wasn't competitive with the top two. So I'm a pass, but 57-1, you don't have to make a lot of cases to try and throw
yeah,
it in.
it's true. Um, Race 9 here, the creative sprint handicap. Right, we're gonna be going the 1 turn mile here, Class 3 racing once again, and yeah, unfortunately, I think I landed on what's probably going to be your favorite once again here in the 5, Turin Spar Spangled, um, and maybe I'm a little concerned um, by the fact that he's drawn so wide, but I think this is probably your leader here. I mean, this is a horse that's been running in shorter races. I mean, he showed tactical speed going 1400. Um, he started really well in his win last time out with Zach aboard. Obviously, it was a better post, but this race is pretty devoid of speed. Um, I think maybe if I were to take an alternative, and I'll mark him down as a B here, it's probably another horse that I've bet numerous times, except probably the time he won, which is a 7 Pray for Mirror. Um, and just because I think he's drawn very well, he's drawn in the 3 post, and with the lack of speed, maybe he's the horse that ends up on the lead here. I don't know, but I definitely want someone forward here, and I think between the 5 and the 7, I'll probably get there. Obviously, the fact that Zach stays aboard the 5 here, I think bodes well. Kind of had a baby Z pattern last time out. Starting second, kind of you know shuffled back a little bit to fourth, and ended up winning that race. So, um, even had a little bit of trouble in that win. So probably going to be something that everybody else sees. I mean, this is the horse that was 62 to 1, 2 starts back. Then Zach gets the board, and the horse is bet down to 5 to 1. So. I'm guessing that he's probably going to be your favorite. I mean, maybe the 6 takes a ton of money, right? Because people are going to see the 3 wins in a row. They're going to see the rail draw again, and maybe maybe the 6 takes some money. So maybe you get a little value on the 5. I mean, if you're telling me I'm going to get like 4 to 1 again on the 5, I'd love that. I really think pace wise, I think he's going to have an advantage. I think so. Yeah, I'm going to be 5 as my lone A, and I got the 7 Pray for Mirror as a B. Where did you land, Matt?
Yeah, I actually so I watched the replay of that race, and there's a couple that ran in here against her in Star Spangled. I think the 4 Illuminous ran in that race, and the horse I actually liked out of that race the best, that I'm gonna use in here is the 8 Fallon. I know you said on paper it looks like the 5 kinda hit trouble in that race. To me, both the 4 and the 5 coming out of that race kinda got the best trips. They both had that rail draw, and if you watch, that day it says yielding, but it was uh, there's yielding and then it's pouring, right? Or when that
Sure.
race was running was kind of a monsoon, right? And I
Okay.
know this course drains well, but there's only so much you can do when it's pouring during a race. So,
Yep.
um, to me, right, you had those horses that were kind of, tripped out. Because they tripped out, they pick up a ton of weight, um, and kind of got those ideal trips. And now you position them differently, right? That horse is positioned wide, it's picking up 8 pounds. It's going to take more money because you see Zach staying on. To me, that's what I want to avoid, right? I'm going to try and get around that. And if I lose, so be it. I don't want to end up in a situation like I was in last week where I'm, playing something defensively and, cash for half my money. So I'm going to toss both the 4 and the 5, and I'm going to go to the 8 Fallon, who is drawn poorly. But I do think, kind of had to sit wide, had to swing wide into that bog of a course. And in the last, kind of 200 meters was charging pretty hard. I think showed something. And so I do think second up, this horse has every right to move forward. It has back races that fit. And I do think, something that you've seen a fair amount lately, and we can talk about this next race too, is kind of that fitness level, right? Horses that, normally I talk about, okay, horses coming off a long layoff, that's, ideal, right? That's one situation where, you had a horse who may be coming off injury or something like that. And so its weight moves down because it was injured, or, and comes back fresh. So that's one thing. The horses that are coming off, not situations like that, but are coming off kind of that summer break, right? You see them running in July and then now they're hitting, first up. Some of those horses run pretty poorly. And once you get that fitness level and you that second up race, I think is when they have that chance to move back to what their ideal form is. So to me, those are the horses that I think you can get value on because people will look at that first race and say, "Oh, it lost something. It's not on form." Right? When that form can come back pretty quick. So Fallon, I'm hoping is a good example of that, where it just needed that race under its belt and it's gonna, show something kind of coming home in here. May not get a setup from where it has to come from, but with any, halfway decent trip, I think could show something at a pretty decent price. So that'll be one horse I use. The only other horse that I want to use in here, I think, is the 3 Fortunate Son. Again, I think that same kind of angle where you have a horse that's been progressing, it's been moving forward. It's obviously hit the board the last two, um, but kind of that fourth race angle, right? Where you would expect, kind of that ideal improvement, right? A whole race that it's going to run, the best it can run, is usually around race four. So that's where, I just think compared to the rest of this field, um, that's a horse that I want to use. It's a horse that I think has every right to win this race against a field that, you know, a lot of horses kind of haven't shown too much in here. So, or at least have a lot of questions to be. So I'm just going to use the 3 and the 8, and hopefully get around some of the other horses that, be shorter prices.
So you trashed me using Keith Young, but you're going to use Angus Chung. What's his record going the 1 turn mile?
3 for 38, so eight
Okay.
percent.
Okay.
That's it's actually above where he is overall,
Okay.
believe it or not. So not great, but not awful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we because you're not going to use the 5 at all then, huh?
No, I'm gonna toss. I do think it'll just be too short for kind of having a lot of questions. And even, I know you're using Pray for Mir. I don't know. I cashed out on that one, right? Kind of
Yeah.
you hit the jackpot on the slot and you hit that cash out and you go to a different one. you
Well, I
know,
didn't go to the wedding, but I got a front row ticket to the funeral. So, um, all right, all right. Let's move on then. It's closing leg here. Race 10, the Love Racing handicap. We're going 7 furlongs, 1,400 meters here. Class 3 racing once again. Um, I've gone first the last 2 races. So, Matt, where did you land?
Yeah, three horses that kind of all fit that angle that I just talked about of being second up on the season. Um, I guess I'll start with the 4, who probably still goes off favored in here, but King Miles, I do think is the best horse in this race, right? If you look at every race it's ever run, minus that last one, it should win this, right? If it has any ability left. And I think there were a lot of excuses last out where, you're talking high weight, you're talking bad draw, you're talking a really competitive field. Had a lot of reasons to, play against that day. And I do think, you know, a lot of those factors are gone in here. So probably your likely favorite, or at least I'd imagine will be, but I also think probably far and away the best horse in this race if everyone kind of runs what would be expected. So uh, primarily probably through the 4 in here in King Miles. Two other horses that I want to use that again are kind of coming second up this season. I do like the 11 Sky Trust. Again, I think the class jump is the obvious question here. And, typically it's probably not a great bet when you see a horse, winning in class 4 and then having to move up to class 3. That's probably the toughest jump in Hong Kong. Um, but, again, this horse has kind of been progressing. I'm not too concerned with Bowman getting off because I do think at those low weights, Bowman just can't make the weight. And so I don't know if that's a factor here or if he, chose elsewhere. 122 is probably high enough where he's choosing it and not, kind of being um, weighted out, if you will. He's not, too heavy to ride at 122. But, again, I do think that last race kind of showed a pretty significant jump forward. And I think, because of that, if that horse, kind of has a newfound ability and even continues to move forward off of that, could show really well here. So I'm going to use the 11. And then I kind of want to use a little bit of the 12 as well in Super Goldie. Again, just one that I think if you look at those back races before that last out effort, um, had a lot of ability and had, some pretty significant figures in some pretty competitive races. And so I tossed the last one because obviously that was a huge question mark of, hey, what the heck happened? But I'm hoping that again was just horse needed a race, right? Horse needed to get one under its belt this season and kind of, moves back forward, right? You get Teton aboard, that's huge, right? That's any at 1,400, I believe, is a pretty poor jockey, and Karis Teton's not. So although he hasn't been really firing all that well this season, but yeah, I think I'll pay to, hopefully get around the draw and use the 12 in here as well. So I'll be a little bit wide into the last leg of 4, 11, and 12. But those are kind of the three I want to use, hoping to get back to some form in here.
Sorry. What was the horses again?
The 4, the 11, and the 12.
The 4, 11, and
So,
12. Okay.
yep.
Um, yeah, I sorry, I was actually doing research in between. Hugh Bowman's low weight is 124 pounds.
There you go.
So it might be the fact that he doesn't that he can't make weight. So
Look at
um,
me. Look at me
yeah.
actually making a legitimate call about jockeying around here. So,
Well, yeah, because I think Purton, I think, has got a similar thing too, and that was the thing that Joe always had above him, because I think Joe could basically ride anybody.
yeah.
So because I think he's just a much smaller guy. And Karras, same thing. I think Karras will go down to the really low weight. So yeah, I mean Sky Trust, I'm right there with you on Sky Trust. Um, you know, I I don't mind too much the rise up in class, because they're just, I don't know. There's just not a lot in this race, I don't think. I mean, my top pick, I'm pretty confident in my top pick, but Sky Trust I have as I think a lone B in here. I like the fact the horse is drawn very well. He's drawn in the two posts. He's got tactical speed, um, and and yeah, I mean, maybe this is your leader. Maybe he just gets out there. He's drawn well, and Luke Ferraris is actually off to a pretty decent start here. He's got 6 wins in 45 starts. So, um, yeah, I thought Skytrust made it a lot of sense. I looked at the 12 Super Goldie pretty closely, like you did. I see the 14 post, and I'm just out. I mean, I granted he's won at the 14 post before, right? But I don't know, I think he's gonna have a lot of work to do from out there, and I just really I really like my top pick in here, which is the one green and white. A little concerned because this is one that I think they've tried to get in. I think I picked him on top last time he rode, or he was entered, but he ended up not running in that race. So I don't know what the issue was there, but coming off a 7 month layoff, so I think asking a lot coming in at a high weight here, but you look at the last three races, and I mean, horse hasn't done anything wrong those last three races, and has been carrying pretty heavy weights those races. So I don't really think that the weight or the draw is really going to be hindering here, and I just think that this might be a little bit of an easier time. I mean, the two Prestige always made a ton of sense, but this is another horse that's drawn wide again, and I think he kind of got. And he did win last time out as well, but I think he kind of got a pretty easy trip, even though he was out that wide. So um, I think maybe might have a little bit of a tougher time here. Getting the 4 additional pounds, and I think having some additional speed. I think in this race to kind of like you got the 7. I think who's shown a bit of speed, as well as the 11. Uh, oh, it wasn't this race. There's actually, I thought it was this race, but wait, let me double check. No. Oh, I didn't talk about this horse last race, and this is great podcasting by me. Um, if there is a late scratch in the race before, I'm very interested in Voyage Samurai, who's the first entry to possibly get in. Um, I think it's just your speed at the speed here, and I mean the horse is coming in very very good form here. So we're obviously recording this a little early. So if this horse does get in, this is definitely one that'll probably be an A for me. But for some reason I thought it was the last race where I had one of the extra entries, but no, I'm just going to be on the one here, and I'm on the 11. So hey, maybe we both can hit the last race, but I don't think we can both hit the pick three.
Probably not, but I mean, I agree with you. I should use that one probably. That one, if I remember correctly, was kind of on a pretty meteoric rise going through, and I don't know why it hasn't run since March. I didn't look into
Yeah, it's weird.
the
You
reasons
don't you don't
for
see
it.
that with horses at Hong Kong. So maybe this is one. Obviously we're recording this around midnight Eastern on Saturday, Friday night into Saturday. So This is probably one maybe got to take a deep dive into the vet report and see what's going on. But
Yeah,
they're very. Go
trials
ahead.
coming back look pretty good though, so I wouldn't be
Yeah.
too concerned. And I do think this horse probably has a fair bit of ability, so
Yep. And
probably one
they
that I
do their
should
due
use him.
diligence. You know, they
Yeah,
make sure
that's
that
why I
these
do like
horses can
layoffs,
run.
right? You gotta pass all the tests to be coming back off a long layoff. That's why I do think it's a pretty positive angle in Hong Kong. So
All
they don't
right.
let you get away with anything, especially lazy rides. So
Yeah. 2 days, or was it 2 days? Is that it? Or three
three, I
days?
think.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Let's not talk about that. Um, what was your race outside of the pick three that you were going to look at here?
I went back to the stakes race. I think race 7 is just a phenomenal field, and I had to go with it. So can
All right,
start
what do
there
you
if you
got?
want.
Yeah, what do you got?
So I'm gonna be on the 7. How deep is your love? And the reason why is because if you look last out, that horse obviously lost to Kaying Rising. Kaying Rising is in this race, so you would say, hey, Kaying Rising is probably the better horse. It beat How Deep Is Your Love last out. But I think what comes into play here, obviously, is what you'll see is weight, right? If you look last time, How Deep Is Your Love was running at 117 to Kaying Rising running at 115. Kaying Rising is now running at 128. Obviously, had a huge effort last out running at top weight, but How Deep Is Your Love is running at 115. So you get what was a 2 pound swing in the wrong direction to a 13-pound swing in the right direction. 15 pounds is more than the length and a half that that horse lost at last time. So to me, if this horse has, any form off the layoff, having not run since last June, I think it's the one to beat in here. And I do think you'll get a pretty good price on it overall. I think horses like Beauty Waves will take a lot of money. Flying Ace will probably take some money. Obviously, Kaying Rising is probably going to be odds on in here, and so you probably have a big chance to get a pretty good price on a horse that has been right there with some of the best in this field and some of the best in Hong Kong. So I'll be using that one mostly, and you know, I I'm not a huge California Spangle fan, especially coming back from Dubai, etc. And so look, this is a phenomenal race. It's one that if you can be up for, you should watch. But I'm going for a price in here and a horse that I hope gets a little bit lost on the board.
I don't know, man. This might be the time you get the price on California Spangle. I mean, if Kaying Rising is going to be real
I,
short.
I'm not a California Spangle fan. I don't know. It's just not for me. I've never been a huge fan of that horse, and just I know I know what it did internationally, and I know it was huge, to win that race on that stage. I just don't know. I'm not for it, especially at top weight. Especially with I don't know if you know, but a lot of these jockeys are flying in kind of last minute because they're all racing in. I think they're racing in Australia tonight, or
Mm.
there tomorrow for a lot of big races down there. So, um, you know, maybe Brenton Abdullah's a little bit jet lagged too, coming back in, and just not for me.
All right, fair enough. I did not bet the stakes race. I went to race three, and race three was one of the races. I think I kind of looked at the PPs and seemed to be pretty devoid of speed. Going 7 furlongs here on the turf, and I looked at the speed map, and the speed map they have the 7 Pearl of Pangs on the front end. They see a horse that's been running 1,200 meters. Has been pretty forward. I mean, off the pace by 2 lengths, a length and a half, 2 lengths. But I see this horse in the 10 post, and you know, I don't know. Like I look at the notes, right, and they think that the horse kind of had things its own way both times, and kind of just didn't do anything. And so I kind of see the 10 posts. I see a horse that maybe has gotten good trips twice in a row. Um, and the closer I look, I don't think this is going to be your leader. I actually think the 3 Handsome Bomb has got a shot to be your leader because he's drawn on the rail. He's won at the distance. He was very forwardly placed in that race, and he was kind of posted out wide. So I think at Zenny's got a chance to just basically be given the lead, get the rail, and even if he doesn't get the lead, I mean, if he's sitting chilly up front, I think he's going to be tough to beat in this spot. We'll see what price we get. Obviously, the two's got Zach aboard, coming off a win, with Hugh Bowman aboard. Horse Zach's ridden before, but that's another horse that's drawn out in 12 post. The horse that Hugh Bowman's on, has failed as the favorite the last two times, and I get that Hugh Bowman's getting the board, but I mean this horse is still carrying the same amount of weight after those two losses. So I don't know. I think that the 3 Handsome Bomb makes a ton of sense in this spot. I don't think I think he'll probably be single digits, but I could definitely see you getting somewhere between 6 to 8 to 1 on this horse. And I think that's going to be fair value. So I like the 3 Handsome Bomb as my pick here in race 3. Anything else? Oh, I don't know. You got a look on your face like you hate it.
No, I love Pearl Pangs in that race though. So I'm happy you didn't go there.
Goodness gracious! All right. We'll have to. Well, I was gonna say we could heads up a beer bet, but
we can do that. Ship the USPS will take a little bit to get it here. I'll be drinking back then. So
okay. Well, we'll do a beer bet. Maybe we'll do a 4-pack or something. I'll get
Perfect.
you whatever, a 4-pack of something local here versus a 4-pack on heads up who wins, who runs better, Pearl Pangs or Handsome Bomb. So
yeah, we can do that.
That'll be fun. Well, it's going to do it for us here, and you've got to be Sha Tin Me. Obviously, check us out at onthewronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter. I'm at Cherry Drink. Matt is at Slow and Steady, and he's good and actually handicapped the entire thing in advance, so he'll have his picks up on his Twitter.
How about
so
good?
Check it out
I cap it.
Yeah, you cap it. Hey, I mean, it's probably more than I can say
about it.
Yeah, but let's make some money this weekend, guys, and have a good week.
Good luck.